elevator pitch, you guys?
Yeah, sure. So we're the co-founders of Canopay.co. Canopay.co is essentially a website that helps you optimize your spending across credit cards, right? So, Husain, you love credit card churning. Do you want to go for it?
Yeah, I got it. The crazy. So I guess it's really funny. The way that me and David basically. The way David describes me is that I like three things in life. I like credit cards, I like planes, and I like EVs.
What's the third one?
EVs, electric vehicles. Three things that I really like in life. I started credit card churning when I was 12. Essentially, we were going to go to Houston to meet some family. And we were booking the hotel. And on the Hilton website, this offer popped up, which was like 100,000 points after you spend $1,000, right? So we opened this credit card. We meet the $1,000 spend. It was like an insurance bill or something. And then basically we used those points to then like get a free hotel for like a week in Houston. I was like, holy shit. Like there's something like this is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. So then I go down this like crazy rabbit hole for years and years. And by the end of it today, I think we have almost 80 active credit cards open in our entire family. I've traveled to over 20 countries completely on credit card rewards and points.
So free.
For free.
Completely free.
Completely free.
Not only that, but it's also with status, right? So like all of the travel is insane luxury travel. Husain has basically an encyclopedic knowledge of what benefits he can extract from every single step of the way, right? And so that's the thing is that like, what are we really trying to do? This isn't much of a 60-second elevator pitch, but what are we really trying to do is we're really trying to put Husain's knowledge into a software that makes it ultra convenient for people. So other people have tried doing bits and pieces of it because realistically, I mean, I was doing data cleanup in a spreadsheet of every card in the United States this morning. I woke up at literally 6 a.m. to do it. This is the end of my workday. Not the end, but you know, it's midway through my workday. And when you go and you look at all these benefits and classifying all them from earning to managing to spending, credit card rewards points, optimizing all of your travel, optimizing all the benefits, managing your money as like a part of it, it's legitimately the most insanely convoluted process. Like, I mean, just to speak to the spreadsheet that I was talking about, the database of every card, there is for like each benefit, say, so give me an example, like, so the variety of levels of lounge access.
Yeah. Here's like, okay. So first of all,
don't get too deep because it's gonna get boring.
So basic credit cards obviously won't give you like a free lounge at the airport, right?
Right.
If you have a premium credit card, you'll get what's called like a priority pass card, which gives you lounge access at airports. The problem is that different issuers like Chase, American Express, Bank of America, Citi, right? They all have like different access levels for what looks like the exact same card. So like some might give you access to restaurants for free. Some might only give you lounge access. Some give you like one guest. Some give you unlimited guests. So even to like something so specific as like lounge access in an airport, it can get insanely complicated.
Yeah. And that's like one of the smallest things. So like a big thing to note is the fact that there's apps and software and websites. Most of them look like they were released in literally the 1990s. Like actually.
So
like
so those are apps that exist now that do the same thing as you guys?
Parts, bits and pieces, right? So for example, right, we don't have rental cars yet, but I implore any user or any watcher to look up AutoSlash. Look up AutoSlash and just try and understand what's going on there. Once we integrate rental cars and all of the benefits of all these different websites, whether it be, you know, I'll name them Expert Flyer. It uses GDS to query flight availability. Then you know if there's a available award flight. Now you know that it's available.
But how much does it cost?
You got to go search that on your own. And then you got to go search a bunch of different providers to see which one is the best redemption. And then you got to decide where to transfer your points. So all of that is how you get an insane deal. And the reality is that as much as any app or software or website covers just one piece of it, it's ultimately not that valuable if you don't have the full end-to-end help, right? So, yeah, lounges are a small thing.
So Canopay is like the one-stop shop for whole credit churning. Whatever I want, lounge, rental cars, free trips. You guys
Yes.
just all have it ready for me.
Exactly.
Yes. So that our what we're building right now, and something that you can see on canopay.co. If you go and you try us out for free and you register for an account, you can go and talk to our generative AI travel agent. And so as of
And who is that?
Captain. So,
Captain the capybara.
do you guys know what a capybara is?
Yes.
Okay, throw up a picture of a capybara, please.
Well, do.
And then like perhaps play like a soundbite of like, okay, I pull up.
That's fire.
But like, yeah, no. So I love capybaras. I will take credit for Captain.
That's right.
So we wanted to add a mascot, and this generative AI travel agent. The whole idea is the fact that by the time that you actually get a flight booked, travel booked, free or not, just any kind of travel, it's a pain in the ass, right? And so generative AI travel agents, I can guarantee you that if I'm not aware of them right now,
They're coming.
They're already here or coming. Like next week, there will be generative AI travel agents. Like they are like right on the precipice of coming out. But the reality is that to make a really good travel agent, generative AI is super helpful, right? Because the whole point of a travel agent is not just getting your flight booked, but all of the benefits, all of the help along the way, the personal touch, the how are the kids, like I know that you have a kid, you're not accounting for this in the information you're telling me, so like let me help you figure out a full plan that encompasses all of that. Mm-hmm. Or, I know that you have dietary restrictions, so I filed a list of restaurants that fit your, dietary restrictions. That's all stuff from the 90s, 80s. When did travel agents go out of vogue? Like early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
So like you lose that due to the convenience of technology, right? And technology is always going to be more convenient, cheaper, way more worth it than talking with a travel agent.
For sure.
But having a generative AI at your beck and call that can do the same thing, combined with the convenience of technology, you add on the extra sprinkle of sugar of the free vacation and, lounge access and,
And then boom.
Canopay.
Canopay.
That's the idea.
So why is it called Canopay, and why did you guys choose the capybara?
Yeah, so we decided Canopay first. The idea was the fact that it's a canopy over all of your payments and travel needs, right? We had a bunch of different ideas. We pivoted how many times?
Opal, Peridot. Our internal repo is called Peridot. That's
What's the
Peridot is like it's a gem.
It's a green gem.
A green gem. So that's our internal repo. It's called Peridot. We had Opal, and then eventually we settled on Canopay.
Yeah, and we pivoted the idea a bunch of times. The funny thing is the fact that, God, I don't know if I even want to say this, because if we decide this, we should probably grab the domain before this goes out.
You should.
Yeah, well, I mean it's like $9 or something for a year, so we'll just like grab it. But we were also thinking about the name Cappy. Just capybara.
Yeah.
It's a little bit punchier, but the thing is as well is that like when we asked people, I just don't know if it's biased, right? Because the thing is that like we ask people who already have a brand perception, people who work here, as well as, friends of mine and V1. We asked people who already knew about Canopay, and it was like 70-30 split voting to keep Canopay. But we meet new people and they're like, how do I spell that? How do I pronounce that? So
on the flip side, is it CAPY? Is it CAPI?
Yes, a lot of people don't even know what a capybara is.
Right.
So
I don't know. We're working on it.
Capybara.
Capybara are super
Yeah.
wholesome, you know?
Yeah.
Or you can do the thing where you just get the Cappy domain.
Yeah.
You know how Amazon has relentless.com?
Right, just redirect.
Yeah.
Redirect to
Yeah.
Amazon. You guys can do that.
Yeah, we'll
could.
we'll do that.
Yeah.
We can't get. There's other things called Cappy, right? Because I think capybaras are a funny character to choose. I think it's a very natural fit for our team. I also think that it's just nice that like capybaras are the friends of the animal kingdom. You know, like they just, and generally speaking, like you'll see animals who might be traditionally like considered like a violent animal. Like you'll see like a capybara riding a crocodile, and it's like, okay,
Oh.
like, yeah, no,
That works.
You Google search it, throw it up. So yeah, but we decided to kind of latch on, not just because our team liked capybaras, me especially, but also because we thought, you know, it's the friend of the animal kingdom. It ties into kind of our more natural nature aspect. A big part of our company is that from the very start we decided to dedicate 1% of our equity to environmental causes, and I'm not. Okay, we need to like quote out how much is this going to cost, because like we can't do something unsustainable for our business, but a big thing that we really want to do is make it so that all of the flights booked on Canopay have the carbon offset. So carbon offsetting is, you know, people knock on it, but you know, the plane is going to fly anyways. You know, reward seats are unsold seats at its core, right? So effectively, if the plane is going to fly anyway and you're taking an unsold seat, you're distributing the carbon load across more people, which is, I guess, good no matter what, right? Then if we could offset the carbon emissions related to that seat on the plane, I feel like that would be really compelling. And the other, I think...
the other thing beyond carbon offsets we want to look into is called SAF, Sustainable
Yes.
Aviation Fuel.
Yes.
So we're going to start with carbon offsets and then see if we can sort of start subsidizing SAF costs per seat.
It's sad, right? Because my concept about like social entrepreneurship and doing good with business models is the fact that if you don't set up a sustainable way for the business model to continue succeeding, your total aggregate good that you do for the world is going to be smaller, right? So I mean, you see startups all the times nowadays, blitz scale in an unsustainable way, just burning cash left and right just to get users, not even to do any good, right? And in much the same way, you could, I guess, blitz scale your environmental impact and make that a core pillar. But the reality is that, you know, I think that Husain and I, just in general about the way that we look about business, have a very, how do we maximize long term, right, versus necessarily
short-term
always short
gain.
term. Yeah. So, yeah. Sustainable aviation fuel is also what my point was. Why it's sad is sustainable aviation fuel is probably like a more interesting and cool investment. Hussein loves planes. He loves everything about planes. He knows everything about planes.
See, the problem is with... So I sometimes feel like an imposter saying that I like planes.
What do you mean?
Because, like, someone will tell me, or like you could say, hey, we're at the airport, right? What plane is that? I would have no idea what plane it is. Because I'm really bad
Poser.
at, like... No, that's the problem. That's why I feel like a poser. The thing is that my, like, sort of obsession with planes comes in, like, the routes that planes are deployed on, the configurations
Right.
of planes, what seats they're putting in the planes. It's
Right.
really weird. It's not the traditional, like, this is just like some planes are really easy, right? Like an A350 with like a curved wingtip, cool sunglass, like visor. That's an easy plane to identify. But like a 737 versus like an A320, I should know the difference. I just really don't know.
Well, okay, and let me cut through it. So you're in that trough where it's like when you know a very little about a subject and you think you know a lot, and then you know a lot about the subject and you think you know very little. You're right on the precipice of being like knowledgeable about everything, and you know it. So yeah, no. What I was gonna say about SAF is the fact that carbon neutral vacations. Anyone can buy that. we're using our money to invest in a future where the good is technically maximized because sustainable aviation fuel is a more sustainable solution than just offsetting one flight. So, I mean, it's interesting when you think about these things, right? Because it's like, we're already having to spend so much time. I'm interested in creative ideas because we're already having to spend so much time explaining to people what credit card churning is, why it works, like why it's so valuable, right? And how like free vacations is not something out of reach even for like our super user who's a middle school teacher in Wisconsin, right? I mean, admittedly, he's gotta do a couple more tricks, jump through a couple more hoops than somebody who just burns cash on credit cards all day, every day. But the thing is that like he has probably better vacation plans than like, I mean, he's top 1% of vacations and he's a middle school teacher in Wisconsin. So it's really interesting and kind of making travel more accessible, fun, interesting to a wider variety of people is something we're passionate about. So.
That's awesome. So you guys are using 1% of your equity to invest in sustainable aviation fuel?
Or right now, just environmental causes in general.
So
at a smaller scale, we have to look at the unit economics, right? And understand, is it carbon offsets? Is it SAF? How much can we reinvest into sort of these causes based on what type of trips our users are booking? We're not sure right now.
And
but we do have that
what do
commitment.
users care about most?
Right.
Because the thing is that, like I was saying, you have to make it sustainable. So if our end goal, I mean, we've dedicated 1% to environmental. One thing I was going to mention is the fact that there's a huge problem with over-touristing in certain areas, right? And so whether it's this whole umbrella of things related to the environment, travel, any kind of negative impacts that our business could possibly have by just being in the industry of travel. You can guarantee, I'm not going to say names, but you can guarantee that any other travel company doesn't give a shit, you know? So like, the thing is that in order to compete with companies that don't give a shit, you need to make sure that you explain it to your customers in a way where they do, you know? So I guess that sustainable aviation fuel is something we personally care about. Mm-hmm. But how do you pitch that? How do you get someone to care about that? Does that get someone to make a decision to come over here so that we can convince, whether it be an investor, a customer, whomever, to say this is an intelligent business decision, right? I mean, it's funny, like with life, you can always get whatever you want done, right? If we want to make this world a better place to live in, you can always get that done. You just can't count on people helping you get there. You know?
Hot take.
Yeah, that is kind of a hot take. I don't know.
So is that why you guys don't put that mission statement on your website?
I mean, I would say that's just because we're early on, right? I would say that
we
it's just
built
like,
that website 2 nights ago, was halfway done. Yesterday was done. So we haven't. Our website's been up for literally deployed for sell like 2 days ago.
and,
we gotta work on
it.
And by the time that this is posted and edited, it may include even more details. I mean, one of the things we want to include is the fact that for us, like many other churning apps, softwares, websites, they don't take any consideration to security at all. It's like it's abysmal.
Websites. So our, not to go too much into the weeds, but our like sort of fundamental, I would say, principle is that we do not want to store sensitive like usernames and passwords for our users.
That seems like a basic thing, right?
The thing is that almost all the churning websites, whether it be Award Wallet, you know, or any of these other folks that try to like
Max Rewards,
that want to get your sort of points information, they take your username and password, store it on their database, and then log in on your behalf with like a web scraper.
Even if they hash
scrape
it,
and get information.
Even if they hash it, I mean,
it's crazy, right? And essentially, what we decided is that we will not store people's logins and passwords. We do not want to expose ourselves to that kind of a security risk. We basically built an entire parallel point audit system where we look at your transactions and we just calculate what your points should be.
Yeah.
And then you can audit that at the end of the month if you want.
Not to mention the fact that when you're giving all of this detail, all of these security risks that you take to optimize just one piece, whether it be earning, managing, or spending, all these security risks and burdens that you take on just to get one piece solved, they still have downtime.
Yep.
Ridiculous amounts of downtime.
Because, the Amex changes their website, one little part. Your whole scraper's down for like a week while you're trying to fix it.
And then you lose the point balance. Not to mention that, so basically our whole idea is that we would rather be 100% available whenever you need us and 95% accurate, let's say, right? Because if you lose 1,000 points in the weeds, I mean, we'll find it at some point, and then it's like, hey, cool, we got another extra 1,000 points. It ultimately, in the huge scheme of things, that 1,000 points that we miss because of just some weird
will be either fixed by the point audit.
Yes. Yeah.
Or B, we're working on some other cool ideas on how to actually make our algorithms more accurate.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
great.
So.
Look forward to our soft launch, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, I want to win back here and talk about how it all started. All
Sure.
right.
Okay.
Husain, you mentioned that you've been doing credit card since you're 12.
Yes.
And that was just all because of that one trip.
Yes. I convinced my parents basically use their social security numbers to just open credit cards.
They didn't have credit cards?
Can you say that
No,
on
they
a
had-
podcast?
Yeah, sure, with their consent.
Yeah, sure.
It was with their consent, so you know what I mean?
It's just funny.
It's they had credit cards, right? But we were like pretty much every other like American household that maybe had like 2 or 3 credit cards. And we just spent on those credit cards, got the cash back, had some points here and there. But then as soon as I discovered this sort of like quote unquote loophole or hack, then we just started opening credit cards like crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's important to note that like
Sustainable crazy.
Well, not just sustainable crazy. So explain what you mean, right? Because the thing is that like our most common frequently asked question is the fact that people are like, isn't that bad for my credit score? Which is like valid, right? Because like what the fuck is a credit score? What the fuck is a credit card? Like,
so
seriously.
the way that I look at it, the way that it works is that when you open a credit card, right? This is like down to the very basics. When you open a credit card, you take like a small hit of like 3 or 4 points in your credit, right? And you take a hard inquiry. Then over time, what happens is that as the sort of effect of that drops off, you usually end up at a net higher credit score or a very similar credit score. Because what that new account does is it's increased the total credit that's been extended to you by a lender. So your average utilization goes down, which is a factor on your credit report. In addition, your average age of accounts will go up over time as you keep that account open for longer and longer periods of time. So the idea is that you take a very short like blip in your credit report to then eventually end up on a more sustainable and higher credit score long term. There are also a ton of other strategies like timing when you apply for credit cards, combining multiple applications on the same day to make sure you limit the impact. And these are all things that we're working on building in sort of our recommendations engine.
Yeah.
That's coming out pretty soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're targeting first people who generally are like Husain and they manage everything. One person literally said he manages 150 credit cards in his head. That's a real thing that he said to us. He said, I use paper statements and I manage it in my head. No tool has yet, he said to us on like a pre-sale call, because we've pre-sold some subscriptions to people who are like really passionate. He said to us, I do it all in my head right now because none of the tools that are out there have like had everything that I need. Like 140 or 50.
Something
140
like that.
and 50.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it was all in his head. And so like, and paper statements, which realistically is kind of funny and
That's
based.
crazy for me.
That's based.
All right, so let's time travel back. Now
Let's do
you're
it.
12 years old.
Okay.
How did you start doing the credit card? How did you start serving as a travel agent for your parents?
Okay. So it started with, as anyone would do, a beautiful little Google search. That's where we start. And I find this blog called The points guy. TPG.
The entry,
The points guy is like
the gateway drug to churning.
The TPG is a gateway drug. He's like the quintessential like guy. He's on Facebook. The Facebook moms post about him. Like the points guy is like the most generalist.
He's also super popular with like tech.
Super
like,
popular
tech,
guy. Yeah, he covers
consultants,
all demographics.
A lot of consultants.
A lot of demographics. He's the generalist guy that gives you advice on what credit card to open. He makes a shit ton of money.
Like
Red Ventures, their parent company. I think they bought out Expert
ton.
Flyer. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
They make a shit ton of money.
So, yeah,
So-
they got acquired from this company called Red Ventures. That's basically like, how would you describe Red Ventures? Like,
I don't even know.
like the
A conglomerate of different services.
Yeah, it's like the P&G of churning,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's got Olay and like whatever the fuck else P&G sells.
But yeah, so anyways, back to the question. So I started on TPG, and then from there I discovered a whole bunch of different blogs, like 1 Mile at a Time, Frequent Miler, Miles to Memories, Mommy Points. Like there are all these different bloggers out there. And I just sort of started getting into it, right? Then at some point...
And our boy Straight to the Points. You got a name drop Straight to the Points?
That's a lot later.
Okay. No,
getting there.
you didn't meet him. You didn't know about him, but you got a name drop.
I will. I'll get there.
You got to name drop our boy.
I'll get there, David. I'll get there. So I started on these like now getting more and more down in the weeds, right? And then at some point I just start convincing my parents to open a credit card, like 1 or 2 credit cards every now and then, maybe like a big bill, like a tax bill coming up, right? Or any sort of like repairs, right? Or anything that's big that's coming up as an expense. Open a credit card, put it on that credit card. Over time, then the turning point really. So what year was I 12 in?
That would be
If I'm 19 right now,
8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Right.
Sure.
So by the time we get to 2017.
And how old were you?
In 2017?
Yeah.
14?
14, yeah.
Why are you telling me that?
Yeah, 14.
You were born in 2003.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, 14.
14.
You're following along.
Oh God. Okay. I was 14 in 2017, and that's when things really got crazy. So I eventually had accumulated enough points in Alaska Airlines. They had some really good promos back then, and my first ever like crazy redemption was a business class flight from Boston to Hong Kong on Cathay Pacific. Actually, no.
What points did you?
That's not
transfer
right.
in?
That's not right. Okay, we have to go back. Is that okay?
No,
Yeah.
no one cares.
No one cares. Okay. So that's right. But one big redemption was Boston to Hong Kong on Cathay Pacific Alaska miles, which I just earned from
Not
a
your
credit
first
card.
redemption, but who cares?
Not my first. One of my really good redemptions was my first ones that really like opened up the door to like what is possible, right? Okay, so Boston to Hong Kong, Cathay Pacific with Alaska miles. Then I did Hong Kong to Beijing. I think.
Alaska miles transferred to Cathay.
No, just Alaska miles. Cathay was a Alaska.
Oh,
partner.
right, partner.
So it was Boston to
You can see how this is kind of confusing.
Beijing, Boston to Beijing via Singapore. It was like a one stopover award, business class on Cathay Pacific. Then it was Beijing to. Oh my God, I'm saying this wrong. Boston to Hong Kong to Beijing to Singapore to Mumbai. That was the ticket
And
that I
that was
booked.
a whole free trip
That was a completely free trip,
using all your points.
all
you've
in business class,
accumulated.
all on points. That whole trip
All
was
on points, not all of your points.
all on points.
Yeah.
I said all of your points.
Not
Sorry.
all.
Not all my
all
points.
of.
But a
All
good
on
amount
your
of my
points.
points.
So you still have more points left.
I have more points left after all this, right? So I literally go to, Hong Kong, Beijing, Singapore, Qatar, in one trip, and India. And this is like a 2-week trip that we take, and that was like flying business class for the first time. It's like, whoa, you can't go back. Like once you sit in business, lie flat seat, 16-hour flight, you can't go back. And that's like it's like a drug.
Okay.
And it gets crazy.
And let me punch in here. So in terms of like what my interpretation is that a lot of churners go because they're like free luxury vacations, right? I say free luxury vacations is great, and if you are a Husain who wants to optimize to the nth degree and just get every single last piece of value out of everything, right? Then that is like not just achievable, but frankly easy, kind
Yeah,
of. I
easy
mean,
as heck.
yeah, if you have like a really strong willingness to dive even deeper than what our software could probably potentially, I mean, in terms of earning, you go further than the average bear. But like the reality is that for a lot of people, the vast majority of people, business class is achievable, economy is easy,
Yeah.
right? So accessibility to a place and then the hotel could be pretty damn nice no matter what.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So like on that 2017
Do you value
trip,
the journey is the question.
right. On that 2017 trip, so the flights were free, the hotels were free, completely on that entire 2-week trip. And then that was crazy. After that, I just kept going on successful, like just more and more crazy trips. And then at some point in like 2018, 2019, a flip switches and I go really into the deep end. I started going into what's called manufactured spending. So manufactured spending is basically the way in which you try to increase your spending beyond just your organic day-to-day spending. The way that you did it back in the day was by buying Visa gift cards. Like at the store, you can buy like $500 Visa gift cards, and then walking over to like a Family Dollar or Dollar General, liquidating that gift card into what's called a serve card, and then transferring that balance to your bank account. You could also do things like buying gift cards, buying money orders at like Bayer or Kroger with those gift cards, and then liquidate them in your bank account. So when I started doing that,
There was also the gold, which I think is a better story.
that's very recent though. That's like post-COVID.
Okay.
Oh,
We're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not there.
We're not there yet. We're still in 2018,
And
2019.
were you also helping out your friends as well, or is this just a
So
family thing?
So initially it was just me. I think helping my friends has come a lot more recently, especially as I've started thinking about Canopay as a company more.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that like essentially what I was doing, if you call like market research almost, right? A lot earlier that I started like working on Canopay last fall, is the idea is like basically, listen, I told some of my friends, just open this one credit card, right? They open the one credit card, their parents help them spend on the credit card to meet the requirement. And then one of my best friends from high school, right, who goes to school in DC, literally his past like 3 or 4 trips back and forth has just been for free.
Wow.
The flights. So you can fly, half the times he's using his Amex points, transferring to British Airways to book an American Airlines flight from DCA to Detroit, or transferring his Amex points to Delta to book a DCA Detroit flight.
Uh-huh.
So it's sort of like, and literally that's from one credit card. He just opened literally one credit card. Now I think I opened like 2 more, so I think he has 3 credit cards now,
Mm-hmm.
which he uses.
And how many credit cards do you and your family have? 100?
About 80,
About 80?
80 to 90 cards.
The guy that we talked to managed 150 in his head.
And
Yes.
that's because the way that a lot of these heavyweights work is that it's called the P1, P2 system, right? So P1 is you, P2 is like your partner, P3 is your mom, P4 is your dad, P5 is your brother, P6 is your sister-in-law. And people manage like a bunch of people's like accounts, and then basically I guess like split the points. Like since I got the points for you, you get half, I get half, and everyone's happy because they're getting points for nothing. For
So that's
free.
how like your family kind of paid you by doing consulting for them?
Your family didn't really pay you. I mean, the payment.
I've only gone on trips with my family. We all travel together.
Okay, makes sense. And so you were doing all this consultation with your family. When did the Discord thing start?
Yes. Okay. Now comes the fun part. So now I'm really in all these different groups and communities over the years, especially after I started getting into manufactured spending. So around 2021, early 2021, I joined this Slack group for the first time. I heard about this Slack group from a really, really long time. And I finally joined the Slack group in January of 2021. That group basically was a place where it was like it was kind of about credit card points, but a lot of it was about like reselling. It was like the heydays of like PS5s and stuff. You know, when you could like flip PS5s for like a shit ton of money to scalpers, right?
He was the villain.
I was the villain.
He was my villain when I bought my PS5.
So I started in January with that group. I sort of really helped with like my spending for opening all these credit cards because I could spend a lot of money, get a lot of points. I wasn't really in it for the profit. I was more in it for the points, which is funny because people resell to make money on like sneakers. I'm really selling so I can break even and just get credit card points, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
At some point, I realized that this guy who runs his like Slack group basically doesn't do shit. He doesn't do anything. Every deal is posted by people in his group. Every message between people in his group. He shows up like once a week and says like hi.
So does he get paid for
$60 a month?
Hello.
And he had 500 users.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you decided to start.
I'm
your
like,
own.
fuck this.
So Husain was like basically like, how can I make a Discord that's half the price and also provides bots and more value? So then,
I'm like, so I I make the group in July of 2021. Officially launches at the end of the month, and the way I basically promoted the group is it's kind of crazy. I basically had a doc, and it was like a declaration of independence, like grievances against this guy's group. And I posted this Google Doc of grievances, but this guy is not doing what I'm gonna do. I just spammed it in his group everywhere, in all of his channels, spammed it on like Telegram, WhatsApp, all the places that I'm in. Literally like grievances again, not to be named group. And then people just started joining.
Wow.
I just started. These are people that have like never used Discord. The vast majority of them, you know, because of like the age demographic, and it's just crazy. So, then what I did is another big way, an easy way of me credit card spend was by buying gold coins from the U.S. Mint. Okay, so now here's like now we get a little crazy. Okay, so back in the day, in like 2009, 2011, what the U.S. Mint would do is that they would sell you like $100 of coins for $100. You can see the problem here for credit card churners who buy $10,000 of coins for $10,000, take like literal dump truck of coins to their local bank and deposit it. So now they have $10,000 in coins and they pay their credit card bill off, and they made a shit ton of points. U.S. Mint shut that down very quickly. But now what the U.S. Mint does is that they sell gold bullion. So like for the Indians out there, Pam Swiss Valcombe, Australian ringgit, all these sort of...
For the pirates out there. What goes in the treasure chest?
Canadian maple leaf. So each country issues their own coin, right? Canada has a maple leaf. Swiss has Pam Swiss, private company, but beyond the point. Essentially, the U.S. Mint issues gold eagle coins, right? Which are their like gold bullion coins. These are 1 ounce coins, half ounce coins, quarter ounce, 10th ounce coins. And when the US Mint sells these, they sell these at sets, right? And the thing is that for coin collectors, if they don't get every single coin of every single set of every single year, they will go crazy. They will pay any amount of money to secure that coin. And the good part is that most of these coin collectors are boomers, and they have no idea how to use technology. The best they can do is eBay. That's like the extent of their technology, and they're like, I have to get this fucking coin. I have to get this fucking coin no matter what. There's like $10,000 commemorative coin set of like every like denomination of the 2022 gold eagles, right? Or gold or buffaloes.
And most people our age
are very good with technology.
And can't afford a house, and these guys are spending $10K on coins because they have a number on them.
So
you started this Discord group?
So I started a Discord group, and the first day of that Discord group, there ended up being a U.S. Mint coin release, a massive coin release, a $14,000 coin set, and I basically scrambled. I used to sell. And it's going to piss some people off if the people who hear this know.
What?
That...
Wait, no. Are you? Matt would laugh so hard. Are you exposing the MS play?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. No.
Okay, that's an inside joke.
I used to sell to this guy by a third party, right? So somebody else used to be like a guy that. So I would buy coins. I sell it to this guy. He'd pay me out. That guy used to sell to a third party coin dealer, right? Who was actually the end buyer for these coins. I bypassed the middleman, went straight to that end coin dealer, and I negotiated my own deal with the guy. And I was like, I have a bunch of people who are going to sell you this coin that you and your other fanatic boomers are desperate for. So, you in for a deal? And I think what ended up happening is I think I processed over what are the numbers? $150,000 of coins in like a week. Like wire transfers between me to my bank account to then my people. And each person made, I think about, I don't remember how much money they made. I can't remember, but they made a lot of money.
I mean, millions.
Not millions of points, but like that's like 2 or 3 credit card sign-up bonuses done.
Yeah.
And people could buy up to like 3 or 4 sets per person. They spent like $40K in like 10 minutes. And they made, I think, over $1,000 per set that they purchased. And then I took my cut as well. Some percentage cut I took, I don't remember.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but more importantly, it's a lot of points. So then, like, every time there was a coin deal, I used to post, people would buy, people would sell to me, and that is the way that my Discord group basically started.
You also have a membership, right?
That is a membership, so it's $30 a month. Pioneer ULTD.
Yeah.
And then how many people are in your Discord?
100 folks.
100. So you're making 3,000.
36.
36 a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I met Husain,
Here. Not there yet. We're not there
I was
yet.
like, oh.
So Discord group's running good. This is like mid 2021 into 2022. And the thing is that the idea for Canopay existed since 2016 in my head.
In your head?
In some form.
In some form. The very basic form of Canopay has existed since 2016. In 2017, there's like this thing called BPA, which is like similar to DECA, if you've heard of that, at the high school level.
High school club. And there was like this competition, and I submitted like the business plan for the initial, it was called Card Catchers, back in the day. I still have that business plan. And Frame it.
that was good. I came like first place in the state for that, and that was like pretty cool for like a 15-year-old, right?
Can I ask what the business plan was?
Oh yeah. It's basically what Max Rewards does today.
Yeah.
It's very basic. It basically, you would add all your cards in, and then it would basically help you pick the best credit card and help you like track your rewards. So very basic level of it. Using like the Card Catchers recommendation engine. It was super cool business plan. And then I sort of sat on it. I wanted to build it. And then I just kept pushing it off. And then Card Catchers came out. Not Card Catchers, sorry.
Max Rewards.
Max Rewards came out. I was like, damn, like...
Max Rewards has done very well.
Max Rewards has done very well. They were pretty good, right?
So
I can't diss Max Rewards as a business.
Yeah,
as
they're
an app,
really good.
like as an app, Max Rewards, I would say, is probably best on the market right now. It's best that you can get.
Yeah,
I would say.
So
did your idea just died, or
it didn't die, but just sort of it was just sitting in like La La Land.
Purgatory.
It's just purgatory. It was in purgatory, just like sitting there. Maybe I'll work on it. Then I get to college. I try starting it. I think I tried actually at UFM starting the idea like 1 to 2 times. Didn't really work out. Didn't find a good fit of like a co-founder. Then I was like, I come into my junior year. And I'm like, I'm going to take this class as like an entrepreneurial management class. And I'm like, I don't care if my idea gets selected. I don't care about nothing. No matter what, I'm going to use this class as a way to start this company. And then, I meet Mr. Bodis.
So,
what was the moment like? Where were you? What were you doing? What happened?
So everyone in the class was asked to present some idea of some form of shape. And I remember at that point I was...
what was your idea?
I had to apply as a product manager to Lyft because I had sold that project to Lyft. This is the biggest stain of my life, is I had sold a project, $10,000 to Lyft with my last startup in the spring. So in the fall I say, hey, I I would really appreciate a good word put in for me in terms of I'm applying to the PM. I get through for a little while, and then I write this application. They ask for a like an innovation to basically help reduce traffic with like Lyft technology, right? And so my idea was basically like Lyft for buses. It's not like the best idea in the world. I mean, I put it together in like a week, but like the whole idea was the fact that basically a bus would autonomously drive and calculate a route based on optimizing people who check into a bus stop. So there's bus stops on like every corner. There's no set bus stop, right? And then wherever anybody needs to be picked up, they just check in, and then the bus just calculates a route that just gets to them and gets people where they need to go, right?
It's kind of cool.
Lyft's,
Was it electric
I thought
bus?
It was cool. I thought
Were
it
they
was
electric
cool.
buses?
So, I mean, I mean, listen, it was a week.
What did Lyft say?
Well, Lyft said no, but I mean, I was worried after I turned it in because Lyft's model is we don't hold assets. We don't hold assets. Like we don't hold cards. We don't hold cars. We don't hold buses, right? And buses are expensive. I mean, like one regular city bus is what, like $1 million? So it's like,
How do we get out of classifying our contractors as employees?
literally, I don't know. I had thought through. I tried to I just took it wholesale and pitched it for the class. That was my idea. Whatever. Then basically I heard Husain pitch, and I heard a couple of other people pitch. And I had said to myself, you know, after I had closed down my business, that I was just like, honestly tired. Like, low-key just tired. Like, entrepreneurship takes a lot out of you, especially when you really care. How you can know that, like, you're headed in the right direction is it's no longer, like, fun just shooting ideas. Like, you know, like, entrepreneurship in reality is, like, it's like a roller coaster where at hour 1 you wake up and it's the most exciting news that you've ever heard. And something that you've been thinking about just totally flipped, and everything is going to work. And then 2 hours later you realize, wait, that might not happen. And in fact, something is going drastically wrong and we could shut down tomorrow. And then by the end of the day, you end up being like, okay, well, nothing went drastically wrong, and also the thing that I thought was going to go amazingly right didn't happen. So, like, I just went through this emotional strain to end up at net neutral. Nothing happened.
And your previous startup was called Helix Cases.
Yeah. So it was an HR tech startup, and realistically, I will say that I blubbered around for a long time, and it was not the worst idea, but it definitely wasn't the best idea. It was a little bit boneheaded. The execution was pretty boneheaded as well.
I think we should talk about the lessons from that and how that applies to our team after you explain how we met.
Yeah, I will, right. But like I'll touch right now on how we met. Husain pitched, a couple other people pitched. I couldn't help myself but being like, hi, how you doing?
Wait,
So,
you said that to Husain?
Yeah. I was like, hey, I really liked your pitch. Like, I thought this was really interesting. I want to learn more about it and stuff. And I had talked to a couple of other people, and there was another team that I thought Husain's idea wasn't fully fleshed out. It wasn't super scalable, and it was equally technically incredibly ambitious, like technically very difficult, and equally the market size for what you were originally targeting.
Which was just like my heavy hitters in my group.
Yeah, so like making a tool for heavy hitters, and it was going to be insanely difficult, and I was like, cool idea, but kind of fuck that, right? And so there was another idea that I had kind of latched onto, and I drew for this other idea, I drew mock-ups in like the first like week.
Shout out Remarkable too.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
so who's this idea you're talking about?
Some other guy.
some other guy. Okay.
Yeah. It was another idea. I thought that the idea basically, if the team, I had this misconception that people would just latch on and get so excited about it the way that we do. Much simpler idea. Thought it could be in and out by the end of the school year, and potentially it would be either work or not work, and it wouldn't take all of my time, right? And so I drew I drew up some like mock-ups for this startup, and I kind of sent them to the team, and the team was like, dude, this is a class. Like, fuck you. What are you like? Like,
what?
No, not fuck you, right?
No, but
they
like,
just-
why
it's a
you
class.
try hard? Stop being a try hard.
Yeah.
That's what I told David. But then again, like, so then my perspective is like, I'm doing this no matter what.
Yeah. And
then
so then
I was like, David, you coming on board or what?
you basically heard that. Did I tell you or
No,
you just
I
heard?
heard that. No, you told me that you're like confiding in me. Like, damn, like you guys really don't give a shit about all this work that I did. I put
Yeah.
all this work. I'm trying to make this idea work. I think it's a cool idea.
And it's easy.
And
It
it's
would've
easy,
been-
but
it-
they don't care.